Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some.
What's going on, fellas? My name is Rafael Chacinas, no es el Capitán Rafucho, and welcome to another episode of The Combat Club, ladies and gentlemen, because we're getting back to the brand new season. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a little round of applause for everything, because this is going to be so much interesting, because this is going to be really explosive. A fight night on Nashville, Tennessee. So I just wanted to tell you, make sure to subscribe to Capitan Rafucho on YouTube. You can follow me on every social media at Twitter, as known as X, Instagram, Kick, everything. Yeah, you can sound about that. And we have a special guest coming up there to provide those predictions of the UFC Fight Night on Nashville, Tennessee, between two amazing heavyweight athletes, Derek Lewis versus Teixeira. And let's talk about a little bit of the Ultimate Fighter, what happened on last Tuesday between Team Cormier versus Team Channel Summit. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause for those special guests, because we're bringing in a brand new season of the Combat Club, because it is the club when everyone can fight. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the men of the hour, Crossover MMA. So, how's it going? Welcome to the Combat Club.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me on. I always see you in my chat, man. I'm glad I finally get a chance to come over here and join you.
Yeah, finally here. Well, after all for this time. All right, so let's keep on with the main card predictions coming up there, because it is going to be really happening a lot. Let's just start with Vitor Pedrino versus Austin Lane, because Vitor Pedrino gives slowly light heavyweight buys, but if you know about the type, the ones kind of demolish and steamroll for the first couple of fights, they're really laid ups against the cans, but they actually give an actual test wherever they go shit in the bed. But Austin Lane is more than variety than a test variety. So I'm going to really expect that Petrino to get a little bit of a steamroll, because Lane can wrestle, that's a fact, and he hold on to the position for a little bit, but it's pretty shocking cardio, no submission, instant on bottom, pause, because basically, if you're going to rely on the guy who's defensively vulnerable, if you're a UFC fighter, MMA fighter, you had to learn about this, not to gas out and clinching for a deer for 50 minutes. And Petrino can win this one, but maybe underperform at a decision. But I got to tell you for this one, Austin Lane, he knows about wrestling, but he can really improve all of this stuff. So what are your thoughts about Austin Lane versus Vitor Pedrino? It's going to be an amazing fight, but when it comes, they're going to show up their skills, including the wrestling skills.
So in this matchup for me, I mean, just like you said, Vitor Pedrino is moving up to heavyweight from light heavyweight. And usually, when the guy's moving up from the lower weight class, there's typically a little higher skill at the lower weight class. And I think, with heavyweight being so shallow of a division and just not really having that many guys in there, I think it's going to be a good move for Petrino. And then on top of it, Lane's got knocked out in 3 of his last 4 fights. So, I mean, we don't really know where his chin is. I know Petrino got knocked out in his last fight as well. Petrino's also a minus 700 favorite. So I think the odds makers definitely are on to something here. And I know you mentioned the wrestling, but if we look at it, Vitor Petrino averages more than twice the takedowns that Austin Lane does. And I think that's something that kind of goes overlooked. So I'm definitely going with Vitor Petrino in this matchup.
Oh, there you go right now. All right, so next up, we got Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charrier. Now, this is one of those fights that obviously there's going to be like an easy one to pick, but it's also it's going to be like very close head-to-head, toe-for-toe. I mean, Morgan Charrier, it's just like a better fighter, better striker, better grappler, and better all-around finisher. Because it will be crazy to assume that Landwehr should be winning about this fight, or Morgan Charrier has very subtitle about the massive flaw. It's meant winning. But I talk like breaking it down over this fight. And there's like a good reason, because he was like quite heavy underdog netting on wood against him most recently. But if you had to simply look at the record and make a conclusion that across an entire fight, Charrier has a record of 15 wins, only 1 lose on that finish. But 5 to 10 of fights that go for decision. It's just like the worst decision record that I ever seen on the level fighter, especially that doesn't have obviously cardio issues. And it really doesn't imply that Charrier cannot cover like all over the sort of super likely to finish. So what is it going to do? Like the plan against Lane Lagorovich is pretty hard to say, because Nate seems like a very doable guy. Having a pretty intense around for this career is only a 1 finish by submission. He obviously suffered those 3 knockout losses in the organization, but it's hard to really figure it out if that was facing someone with a Johnny Walker or a Matt Schnell chin that of course will be a rightful favorite. So therefore, it's gonna, if you want to play something, they're gonna be suggest like the decision just to be contrary and maximize to most of the fate angle.
Well, for me here, I mean, if just look at me looking at the numbers, I mean, both these guys' finishing rate is under 50%. So, I mean, definitely taking the over and thinking this fight's going to decision, I think is where the smart money is going to be. But at the same time, you know, Morgan Charrier is a minus 270 favorite right now. Mm-hmm. But if we go look at, you know, Nate Landwehr, who he's fought, like he's got some solid wins on his resume. He's got a win over David Onama, a win over Ludwig Klein, and a win over Jamal Emmers. And those 3 wins are better than any win that Morgan Charrier has. But on the flip side, just like you were talking about, Morgan Charrier, he's only 29 years old, but the guy's had 32 fights. So it's so much experience. And, you know, I think Charrier, just like you said in his last fight, was in there with Nathaniel Wood. And it was a competitive fight, and Nathaniel Wood's an absolute dog. And I think Morgan Charrier is definitely going to get a lot out of that matchup. And for me, Nate Landwehr is just so wild. And then on top of it, to put one more element into it, he is 37 years old at featherweight. And, you know, like Father Time's undefeated. So I like the youth of Morgan Charrier.
Yep. I mean, exactly. You have a point. All right, so next up on the main card, we have Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. And I'm going to mean it, because to be fair and to be honest, Steve Garcia, it's not that guy. It's not that real guy, because he's just like a fighter with a C grade, with A grade power. Because if you take it away for this damage and you left someone with him, would end up fighting for the job of the UFC. Because Calvin Kattar is currently through like one of the weirdest declines that I ever see, because he's been loaned through one of the featherweight top 5 in a world with Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski didn't insist. They couldn't have like the belt at one point. But he's currently on a 4-fight losing streak. A split decision loss to Josh Emmett isn't anything to be really ashamed of. And personally, there was like borderline robbery potential, and jury loss to Arnold Ali is really irrelevant. Grappling-based loss to Aljamain Sterling was disappointing, but unsurprisingly. But some people that just decide that Kevin Guitar is just like a watch out like Tony Ferguson. I mean, that was like mind blowing. So there is gonna be like a real potential that the fight turns like one of those. They have forgot about this because Qatar has been operated at that level that is much really higher than Garcia. It has certainly showed incredibly good durability of his career because I'm not convinced that Garcia finished Qatar here because therefore this is gonna be like a 50-minute fight in between for the look at this one. And if you had to take it away, like the power and dangerousness, you have a C-grade fighter. And C-grade fighter who has knocked down a soundly biter for round one by Nurmagomedov, knocked down by Mishite, knocked down by Charles Ontiveros, in control by 14 minutes and 2 seconds for Luis Peña. So they're going to be like really wrong, but also it's going to be like really surprisingly. So I just wanted to tell you because it is the perfect time to see like those records could be broken because I understand that some UFC fighters, they're going struggling about like the losing streak. There's going to be like the opportunity or there's going to be like the same thing.
Man, so this fight for me is kind of giving me a little bit of the Calvin Kattar, Giga Chikadze kind of vibes. You know, Giga Chikadze went into that fight with a lot of momentum, and Calvin Kattar pretty much just beat him up and really just showed him levels in the featherweight division. But at the same time, I mean, Calvin Kattar's been in there with absolute killers in like his last 10 fights. I know he's on the 4-fight skid. He's 4-6 in his last 10 fights, but like you're gonna recognize all the names of the guys he's been in there with. On the flip side, Steve Garcia is on a 5-fight win streak, all by finish, all by KOs. And I mean, this guy's pretty much just kill or be killed. And he got a lot of power, but at the same time, like he can get hit himself. Calvin Kattar is 37 years old. So, I mean, for me, I'm kind of all over the place. Like, I've been back and forth with this because I think Calvin Kattar's experience and just him being in there with the better competition is definitely going to make it tough on Steve Garcia. But Steve Garcia's got that nuclear option. Like, he's got that death touch in that left straight of his, and he can get guys out of there. Like, this is going to be a very explosive fight. Just like you said, Calvin Kattar's never been finished. The one TKO loss on his resume was an injury, so he's never been knocked out. So this is one of those matchups where something has to give one way or the other. And honestly, like I can see this fight going either way. I'm personally would stay away from it, but I would say just with the momentum because they're on opposite trajectories right now, and I would probably lean Steve Garcia right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sounds very explosive. All right, so next stop, because I was like really testing him out for like the soundboard. All right, so next stop we got Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Boniv. Now, I'm going to check for this man right now. Thompson's last fight against Joaquin Buckley was very impressive for like 10 minutes. Despite him being 40 years old and having like his style is 100% around speed and movement, the Wonder Boy has rolling back for the years and looking very competitive against the hard-hitting style of Buckley. Because this is what happens with one of those punches landed and Thompson got slumped. And Gabriel Boniv should really shoot that. Because not only is a high-level submission artist, and should be able to go out there and tap out in the very amateur mat grappling ability of Wonder Boy. Because it's not going to be really crazy to suggest that both of them should be like able to striking against Wonder Boy, because I don't think it's going to be the best interest in to do so. And Wonder Boy is like very unique puzzle to solve. And typically you need like a brain to solve a puzzle. The probability of Gabriel Funny and all the fighters coming out there, because Wonder Boy has found since he knocked out by Anthony Pettis. That's entirely depending on how the project is fight. Because if they wanted to create a time traveler, they're going to be like at a 15-minute kickboxing affair. There's no way that Gabriel Boniv justifies. Because they're going to do like a very perspective. Because in case you decide to kickboxing, there comes like really diving for takedowns. But it's going to be really hard. But at least they have the very favorite to Gabriel Boniv. But they had to be careful with the underdog, which is Stephen Thompson, the Wonderbolt. Despite for the age, I know he's very experienced all around for the UFC career, and he knows it about to survive all these 50-minute rounds. And of course, he put in there in this spectacle. So they're gonna be like submission, knockout, or decision. It all depends about that.
Yeah, man. This matchup really, if Bonfim's definitely got to get this fight to the ground. On the feet, I think Wonderboy is going to be a little too unique of a style. And the range of the fight that Wonderboy likes to fight at is a little different than the traditional guys you see in the UFC. Then on top of it, Bonfim on the feet, like you can tell he's definitely still developing. He is high output, but he doesn't really like have that finishing ability on the feet, but on the ground, like he is definitely a problem. And as Wonderboy has gotten a little older, his takedown defense has started to slip a little bit. And I mean, that's just father time. And Bonfim has like a 77 takedown accuracy. So if Bonfim gets this fight to the ground, I can definitely see him, doing this thing, because this guy is very dangerous on the ground. Wonderboy is going to have to keep him at range, circle, use that jab, a lot of front kicks, and just try and keep this fight at range. Bonfim cannot allow Wonderboy to get comfortable and just keep that range. He's got to eat up the range, get him in a clinch, shoot some takedowns, and he's got to get this fight on the ground at all costs. And I think if he does get it on the ground, like he's going to be like a hot knife through butter on Wonderboy. He's 42 years old. I mean, still doing it. You love to see it, but Father Time's undefeated. So I'm going with the youth again right here.
Oh, that's a very good choice right now. Very good choice. And I just wanted to tell you between it about this, because we're going to head it to the main event, because Bruce Bedford, you know what time it is? Time for the main event, which is Derek Lewis versus Tyson Teixeira on Nashville. Because I'm going to tell you, am I about to go like the deep dive like at a heavyweight fight back-to-back weeks? Because what's going to be happening right now? Because Derek Lewis is the final boss of the heavyweight. Because if you look at the rankings, because Derek Lewis is at the top 10 at the number 9. And Tyson Teixeira is number 13. Because definitely Derek Lewis, we've been seeing all around for this career. Not only he gave us like a great performance, but also he just left like for years to say, my ball's on fire, pause. But I got to tell you for this one, none of them, they have so many toolbox about devastating power, because this one is going to be really close. Because if you take Tyson Teixeira, because they know everything about like the research. Because the first thing, because he was like experienced 8-0 record. Because the heavyweight regionals are like the Barra Slot Fest, but in this time it's going to be really different. Because the only things that Tyson Teixeira is really dangerous, and he can end the fight instantly on the feet. Because who else is going to have that? The most dangerous hitter? Derek Lewis. Literally one of the most knockout artists of the UFC history, because the ability to produce knockout has been changed, but also has the ability to feign out like an opponents, to grapple him with different walls, but it definitely very quick, limited table, Teixeira. So it's going to be like a very good at grappling. Also, we've been seeing confident for the MMA, but the guy who's steamrolling like a massive step up, then decide to complete revamp himself. Whatever to do with like the favorite gassing up for the sheer respect for the opponent. Derek Lewis is very notorious for the ridiculous power. And somehow I cannot that see that Teixeira is pushing up for this fight, but I'll give like a lot of respect for Lewis. I mean, what happened with Lewis fought not good and do? I know it's gonna be easy to want to fight Derek Lewis, but then I want to be like really honest, but those numbers don't seem like really right. Because it's gonna be like a fight with a single punch who dominate who wins and who loses of the heavyweight division. But it's going to be like a really efficient kind of a fight. But you have to be careful with Derek Lewis. And I understand that he has a knockout power. I mean, he definitely changed the whole world with his power and insanity cardio. I mean, you can never rely on those heavyweights.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Derek Lewis being the, I think he's the all-time leader in knockouts in UFC history. That's definitely something that, you know, isn't going to go away, and that's definitely his game. He's very low output and literally just looking to land that one massive shot. On the flip side, you know, Teixeira is just a massive heavyweight at 6'7". He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage in this fight. And he's got big-time power in his own right. He's got a 100% finish rate. So, I mean, he hasn't really been in there with much competition yet. And if we look back at it, man, Derek Lewis has kind of served as like the gatekeeper to like the top of the division at heavyweight. Like if you get through Derek Lewis, then you start getting into like the top 5, and you're literally one fight away from possibly being in a title fight. But you know, I feel like both these guys are going to go in there and they're going to give each other a lot of respect because they both just have so much power. But for me, like, I like Teixeira here. I just think, you know, the reach advantage, he's a bit more active, a bit more output. Derek Lewis hadn't fought in over a year. And I mean, if you just look at some of the wins, some of the losses, you don't, because especially for me with Derek Lewis, I always go back to the Tai Tuivasa fight where he ended up getting finished, and we see where Tai Tuivasa is now. So for me, I'm also going with the youth right here and the young gun and the 25-year-old Talison Teixeira.
Yep, that is right. That is right. All right, so right now, we just wanted to move on to another topic, which I really like it. Because what happens on last Tuesday between the Ultimate Fighter, between Daniel Cormier versus Chael Sonnen as part of the team groups, I've been seeing like probably it's going to give us like the best season ever. And there's one guy from my country, Venezuela, that knows everything better. Because his name is Robert Echeverria. Because I understand he's a former APC flyweight champion. And he was just like really amazing because before getting into the Ultimate Fighter, I mean, he was like working on this clinch, working on all like the defense. But what happened between Robert Echeverria versus Tumelo Manjala, Venezuela versus South Africa? And it's not about a soccer matchup. It's not about a baseball matchup. It's not about the basketball. It's all about MMA. Because I understand that it got offered like at the 5-star, well, using the speed, the straight lightning to snap away to Echeverria. But he was like controlling much of the round with a consistent counter punching. But I understand that Echeverria got a lot of talent coming up there. And we've been seeing like at the disappointment phase of Daniel Cormier. And Chael Sonnen to say, that guy is really good right now. Because that performance, it was just like all put in his heart. Blood, sweat, and tears, and he was very impressive. I mean, the ability of this fighter, of Robert Echeverria, it became so much important. And we've been seeing like at a lot of future prospects coming out there, whether it comes to like the popular reality show, The Ultimate Fighter, because we've been seeing like the future of the UFC coming out there. So I wanted to tell you, because it could be like this one for the future of the flyweights, because I've been seeing the performance of Robert Echeverria could be like a future for the flyweight division coming up there.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. And first off, I just got to say, like, this season of The Ultimate Fighter, the fights have been amazing week after week after week. Pretty much every week, the fights have been amazing. And just to go back to this most recent episode, Tumelo was actually winning the fight. He won the first round. He dropped the Venezuelan guy in the first round. And then it's pretty much, you know, just cruising the second round. And next thing you know, the Venezuela gets the takedown, gets right to the back, gets the body lock, gets the body triangle. My bad, excuse me. And then the next thing you know, he gets it under the chin and he's hiding the hands, and Tumelo's tapping it. I mean, you just could see the look of like disgust on Daniel Cormier's face, because he knew that like his guy was winning the fight, and he literally just had to continue doing what he was doing. But you know, you just cannot say enough about the Venezuelan guy and what he did to get the job done and to get the win. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is getting your hand raised.
Yeah, I mean, it is really important. And I just saw like a lot of those videos of Robert Echeverria became the unbroken. Because if you see like the Master Vendetta coming out there, coming off the octagon, that was like a really badass athlete. And then we've been seeing like the President Awesome of karate combat. And for me, I mean, this is like the future prospect coming up there, because Robert Echeverria, he became like so much important, because before that, he has like this war striking defense. He doesn't want to move it enough, or to keep hands really thought. But after he won on flyweight on Milwaukee, which is like very, very different at all, and I just like amazing. And I really thought that South American fighters, they build really different, because not only there's Venezuela, but also there's Brazil, also there's Colombia. I mean, what can I say about it? They build really different, because they learn it about like consistency. And of course, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is very important.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, it's always good, you know, when you're seeing fighters come from a country where there's not a lot of guys in the UFC, and you know, it's always good the sport gets to expand to new regions and new guys, and brings more people into the UFC and open more people's eyes to the sport. You really love to see that, and I think that's great for you know, the Ultimate Fighter on a broad scale of things. Just you know, giving guys from all over the world opportunity to see if they really can, you know, earn their way into the UFC. And I know coming up, I think pretty soon, we're going to be having Dana White's Contender Series, which I'm a huge fan of. And just going to really be looking forward to that as well. And hopefully, you know, get some good fights this weekend to go along with what we got from the Ultimate Fighter this week. But I'm actually curious, Rafucho, what fight are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
I understand about it. All right, so we got a comment right now that say, Positive Field Production to say, Raf was good. I hope it's all well. I'm going to hit you out about working with me. Yeah, I really hope so. All right, so I have one last question before I wrap it this out right now. So I really like enjoying like the MMA community to share the thoughts, the knowledge about like martial arts. And I just wanted to tell you, who is your greatest of all time in the whole history of martial arts? Because it's gonna be like a not that really easy one, but I got only one, which is George St. Pierre. Take him for example. So who do you think is the UFC GOAT?
I can definitely respect it. I mean, my number one guy, he you know, it's a lot of people upset with him right now, but it's this guy right here over my shoulder, Johnny Bones Jones.
Yes, Jones.
Yeah, that's who I have as my GOAT, man. You know, like I know he's gotten into so much trouble outside of the octagon. You know, his career has had all these turns, ups, downs. And but one thing we can say, when he gets inside the octagon, he gets the job done, and he is a problem to deal with. And hopefully we get the John Jones Tom Aspinall fight. Like, I know John retired, but he did re-enter the testing pool, so there is hope that we may still get the fight.
Yep, and I understand about it, because some people just wanted to give like a close race who became like the greatest of all time, because people who really grew up to watching all those fights. And I understand that John Jones is the greatest of all time. I respect that. Because to be honest, right now, John Jones, not only he defined a whole generation for all the MMA fans coming up there, but also there's like amazing athletes who became spark to the generation at the UFC. Take it for example, not only John Jones is there, but also there's Anderson Silva, there's George St. Pierre, and never forget one of the ultimate fights coming up there 18 years ago on May 2000, 2007, which is Chuck Liddell versus Rampage Jackson. And I understand because some people believe that John Jones is the GOAT, but I understand his career is overshadowed with somebody like dumping out fans that are making the success questionable. But unlike fighters like George St. Pierre Khabib, who never test positive, he also has victories such as Dominic Reyes, who saw the winner. I mean, obviously, he's one of those guys that are really respected because not only he proves that he's the true champion, but also he shaped a whole generation to watch the UFC because they just wanted to real because what happens when it comes to like Saturday nights? Because me and the boys, we're going to have so much fun drinking beer, also eating nachos, and enjoying a Saturday night of full fights coming off in violence, submission, knockouts. I mean, what can I tell you about this? You can never disrespect this sport, which is mixed martial arts, and you can never disrespect those athletes who shape out the generation.
Absolutely. You got all you can do is respect those guys. You know, when the guys that can go inside there, lock themselves in the octagon, put it all on the line. What's going on, Chris Gray? Good to see you in here, brother, as always.
What's you, Chris Gray?
You know, like, I mean, to be fair though, like every fighter has their own issues. Even with George St. Pierre, he's got the Matt Serra fight. He's got the first fight against Matt Hughes. He's got the who's the Johnny Hendricks fight. So I mean, everybody has their things. Anderson Silva tested positive. I mean, Mighty Mouse, that's another guy that's up there in the rankings. And I mean, exactly, that's another guy. But then when you look at Mighty Mouse, you look at the guys he beat, and it's not quite on the level as some of the other guys. So I mean, they all have their own different things. But I do think there's a couple guys that are fighting right now that, depending how it all goes and what they go on to do, there's some guys right now that could have something to say about it here pretty soon.
Yep, exactly. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to tell you, it's been a great episode of the Combat Club, kicking off the new season. And of course, I will see you there tomorrow with our predictions with my co-host, Science in It. So I just wanted to tell you, shout out to Crossover MMA. So where can we find you? All over the social media so people can see your live streams and, of course, the reactions, because I just wanted to tell you for this one, I would love to join up with all those reactions because I know that this week I'm going to provide the fight night on Nashville, but when it comes to UFC 318 on New Orleans, Louisiana, I'm going to be there with the guys of S Talks, MMA Talk, Crossover. I mean, who knows? I mean, where can we find you on the social media so people can watch you?
You can find me everywhere at Crossover MMA. Instagram is Crossover MMA 23, but if you put Crossover MMA, I'll pop up. But you can find me on any platform: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X. I'm on pretty much them all. And just love interacting with the community. Like, you know, you can come over there, check me out. I live stream multiple times a week. I try to put out 1-2 videos a week, and I'm just all over the place. And if you leave any comments, I respond to all the comments, whether they're good or bad, does not matter. And yeah, I just love hearing different people's opinions on it.
Yep, exactly. And of course, I just wanted to tell you, make sure to subscribe to Capitan Rafucho on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on every social media, X and Instagram, as known as @Capitan Rafucho 93. And of course, I just wanted to tell you, thank you guys for joining in. And this weekend, on this Saturday, I'm going to bring the thunder of the UFC Fight Night on Nashville at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you very much. Thank you, Crossover. And of course, I just wanted to tell you, have a great Thursday. Have a great Thursday. And of course, happy weekend. And we will see you there in another episode of the Comic Club, because this is a podcast with 100% extreme attitude, because in this club, we're born to fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. So salute to y'all and have a great, great day. So salute to y'all.